Part of the reason why Luka got traded, Nico's wild. One, defense when champion. He's a wild boy. But part of the reason Luka got traded is because of the fear of that second apron as well. And how are they going to build if Luka's getting a super max, Kyrie's getting his max, where is all this other money going to go? You still need your third option. You still need your solid role players you gotta pay. With those guys playing for the next, 5 years, how are they even going to spend all this money? I would like to talk about the second apron. There's actually been a lot of conversations about this in the offseason, and the second apron has really taken effect on a lot of teams like the Golden State Warriors. The Boston Celtics is the main recipient of it right now this season. They had to trade Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday mainly because, once they was going to hit that second apron, it kind of limits them as a whole, and they're not going to be able to make any moves. So they really had to clear up some cap space, which is kind of sad if you ask me. So in light of the Golden State Warriors and what happened with them, and in light of the Boston Celtics and what's going on with them and why they made so many trades, for Anthony Simons, I would like to go over it and really talk and discuss about, is this good or bad for the league? Now, in my opinion, I'm not going to hold you. So I would say in the beginning, when the second apron became like the first proposed, I kind of liked the idea because I wanted parity. But then when I started thinking about it more and I actually was like understanding everything, and I really think that second apron is just a useless rule. Players Association actually voted for it as well. So shout out to CJ McCollum. But yeah, they even voted for it. And to me, the second apron is very unnecessary. And I don't agree with penalizing teams that draft well, right? If you draft well, if you're able to build your team through the draft without having to sign anybody extra, only a couple players, not really too much, you should most definitely be rewarded for that as a franchise, in my opinion. And the Golden State Warriors and what they did and how they built their dynasty, I mean, they deserve a bunch of credit for doing that. You know how hard it is to hit on your draft picks? And they hit on so much in the 2010s. Right now, they're kind of not, doing so well. But in the 2010s, listen, man, I mean, they had a great run. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, just to name them off, right? They hit very well. And then they had Jordan Poole for a short little stint where he could have stayed, but then, some drama happened there. And it gave them a lot of flexibility because they were able to build off of those, really meant the main three, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, and really, sign Kevin Durant and get all these other good pieces. And for the league to just penalize the Golden State Warriors for them doing something that really we haven't really seen like that in NBA history is kind of like a one-off. It's just weird to me. It's just very weird to me. Like, if we really haven't seen anything like what the Golden State Warriors done in the 2010s, why are we now going to just overcompensate and try to fix something that typically doesn't happen? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of stupid if you ask me. So really the second apron was really just to penalize the Warriors. And, since their dissension and since Curry hasn't been playing full seasons like he actually never played full season like that. But Klay Thompson was never the same after the Achilles, and then he messed up his knee. And Draymond Green, his offense is flatlined. The Golden State Warriors has gone through a decline, since 2019. Won in 2022, had a great season, but then continued that decline, right? So you chose to bring the second apron mainly because they won in 22. But then even after that, like they lost the very next season, and then they lost the season after that. Why are we still having a rule to handicap them when there's parity already happening? In the NBA, what happens in the NBA in its history, you have dynasties and you have teams that dominate for, 7 years to a decade. The Lakers did that in the 80s. The Lakers did that in the 80s, and they dominated, probably the whole decade. Same goes with the Boston Celtics at that time. It was really just them two. And it was great for the league. The league was thriving in the 80s and it really was a big part of the dynasties that happened with the Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers and the rivalries that was created. In the 2010s, I mean, there was a bunch of noise in the 2010s because of LeBron versus the Golden State Warriors. And the dynasties and the powerhouses have always been good for the NBA. They always have been. Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls in the 90s, I mean, they were dominating. They were literally dominating. 2 3-peats in the decade, So we're making this rule to handicap, and really it doesn't happen a lot. Like, you made this rule to handicap the Golden State Warriors dynasty when it's been proven in your league history that dynasties are very good for the NBA. It's kind of stupid to me. Look at the Boston Celtics. Now with the Boston Celtics, you have a chance for them to really string along some rings, and they're a high market team where it's definitely going to bring a lot of controversy, and there's going to be people that want to see them win. There's going to be a lot of people that don't want to see them win. They're one of the teams that have one of the higher fan bases, right? Now we can't even see what can happen with them because of the second apron, and they need to move off of their guys like KP and Drew Holiday. And now they kind of have to restart because JT messed up his Achilles in the playoffs. So this year is really a retooling, and they got to figure something and iron some things out to figure out where to go from here. So, and I get it. Everyone wants parity in the league. Everyone wants the league where, and I even like that. I used to have that opinion as well, where, the championship changing titles and everything, changing hands. But if we're really going to be honest, like, that's the correct thing to say, but that's not really what people want. The correct thing to say is, oh yeah, we want the championships to be dispersed amongst everybody. I'm gonna be honest. No, you don't. Honestly speaking, from an entertainment perspective, the best things in sports is when dynasties are a thing and there's people dominating, because you're gonna have the fan bases that just want to keep seeing those guys succeed. And then you're going to have the fan base that just wants to see them fail. And then that creates controversy. That creates excitement. And now it's kind of like good versus evil. I want the good to win. I want my guys to win, or I want the league to win versus the other guy, right? It's always been great for the league. So now the second apron is kind of handicapping that and limiting the chances of a dynasty to happen. And that's just not good for the NBA. It's just not objective. Like, I'm trying to be as objective as possible and look at this from a pure perspective, from an entertainment aspect. And I'm sorry, if we're going to talk about the NBA, we're going to talk about basketball and what it's meant to be and how, the sport of basketball is great. But the NBA is an entertainment industry. That's really what it is. That's what the NBA is. What progressed basketball was the entertainment side of the industry. So if I'm being objective and we got to stay true to the entertainment side of things, it's entertaining for dynasties and for guys to be dominating in the league, because all it does is create fans for those guys who's winning and haters for those guys who's winning. And everyone's just, it spurs it up. It's really rare when, like in the 90s, everyone just loved MJ, so they just wanted to see him succeeding. That rarely ever happens. But even if we look at the NFL, Tom Brady and the Patriots, that was great for the league. You want to know why? Because you had a bunch of people supporting Tom Brady. You had a bunch of people hating Tom Brady. Joe Montana in the 49ers. People, young guys, people my age, they don't really know this, but Joe Montana got criticized for these same exact things that Tom Brady got criticized for. He was on the 49ers, West Coast offense. He had Jerry Rice, product of the environment. They were winning. It was a dynasty. And guess what? It helped progress the NFL. Now we have that with Patrick Mahomes. And we'll see with the Eagles, actually. Like the Eagles talks has been happening. I mean, honestly, this could be the start of something. We'll see with that. But Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, like the same exact thing. It's good for the NFL. It gives people to talk about. So dynasties has always been good for sports in general. Baseball, Yankees. It's like, I'm not too familiar with NHL. I'm not going to get too deep into that. But even soccer, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Brazil, when we talk about the World Cups and everything, the teams that dominate are great because they're able to amass a large fan base and a lot of haters. So the second apron just destroys all of that. And now you have teams that really now you can have a 5-year window that just turned to a 2-year window. That's what the second apron does. Honestly, when I'm looking as like the NBA execs, like you got to ask yourself these questions where, all right, what matters? What people, honestly, you got to ask yourself this. What matters? What fans think they know what they want? We're going to give fans what they think they want, or give fans what they actually want. So yeah, that's the thing. Are we going to give fans what they think they want, or are we going to give fans what they actually want? And a lot of times fans think they want one thing, but in reality, that's not really what they want. They're just showing face, if I'm going to be completely honest, right? The fans are saying, yeah, we don't want dynasties to be the thing. We don't want the same guys dominating. We don't want the same this, same that. They don't want that, but guess what? Ever since the dynasties haven't been a thing, because in the 2020s has been what? It's been the Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, Boston, OKC. So in each of the years in the 2020s, it has been 6 different champions. And what's going on? They're literally having conversations about the viewership. And the NBA is worried right now about the fan base and how they're able to keep and attract their fans, because they feel like they're losing everybody. That's what's going on. So yeah, you said you wanted parity. Now that parity is here, no one's really watching it like that. Y'all don't think that's an issue? Like, as a fan, you don't really think that's an issue? So that's why for me, it's like, cool, parity's cool and all, but the second apron, like, it literally limits teams to only 2 to 3 year window, and that's it. There's nothing else they can do after that. And that's not good for the league. I'm sorry, that's not. It would have been amazing. Part of the reason why Luka got traded, Nico's wild. One, defense wins champion. He's a wild boy. But part of the reason Luka got traded is because of the fear of that second apron as well. And how are they going to build if Luka's getting a super max, Kyrie's getting his max, where is all this other money going to go? You still need your third option. You still need your solid role players you gotta pay. With those guys playing for the next, 5 years, how are they even going to spend all this money? Honestly, how? Where are they going to put all this money to and not go above the second apron? That's a big reason people don't talk about enough on why Luka got traded. So a dynasty we could have seen with the Dallas Mavericks of them continue to go to the finals, it definitely got erupted a bit because, I'm pretty sure the Dallas Maverick and Nico was looking at them hitting that second apron as well. And that's another reason on top of the defense. That's another reason why Luka got traded. It just took away what we could have seen with that. Multiple finals runs for the next, 7 years. And my thing is too, now that we're on Luka and Supermax, if we're going to give players that got drafted to the same team, they're staying with the same team, and they're going to become eligible for Supermax contracts because of that. Bro, there's no way you can be giving Supermax contracts and having the second apron rule. There's no way. There's no way you can make that work. There's no way. I would think it's almost impossible to figure that out. I try to run some numbers, man. I even try to do it myself. I don't have as much time, and I'm not going to claim to be as smart as everyone who's really in the league and front offices. You feel me? I'm not going to do that. But I tried, and I'm like, how are they even going to afford these players? That's what's hurting the Celtics right now. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum got drafted. They're going to get paid bank. So where's all the money going to go with all the other guys? Where's it going to go? So the NBA can't be giving out these super max contracts and have this second apron. It's just not going to work. There's just no way. There's just no way. So the Players Association got to talk about this. Got to talk with the NBA because the Players Association agreed to this. How are you going to agree to the second apron? Agree to this cap, but at the same time, you want super max contracts for your players. So now those players on this with the supermax contract on the teams, they're going to be on teams that's not competing for the majority of the time because they're not going to be able to build because of that supermax.